My name is Bonnie Winona, and this is my home. We're located in beautiful Nottingham, New Hampshire, which is in the southeast part of New Hampshire.
Charlene Anderson, right down the street from Bonnie, a neighbor of hers here in Nottingham, New Hampshire.
Mike Russo, I'm a high school administrator for at-risk students, and I'm a 10-year resident of Nottingham.
I'm Gail Darrell, and I come from Barnstead, New Hampshire, which is a couple towns over.
I'm Gail Mills. I live in West Nottingham, about 2 miles from here.
My name is Chris Mills. I've been living in Nottingham for the last 25 or 26 years. I'm retired now.
And I'm Marika Wild, and just as Chris said he's retired, I am too.
I left Portsmouth, interestingly enough, because the municipal water there is terrible, disgusting, expensive. And I had always lived in the country on well water, which has no chlorine or other chemicals. And I just never thought that, you know, there might be a water bottling plant in someone's mind half a mile from my new house. So
I bought a house that I thought was a safe house to buy, and that my groundwater was going to be all set, and suddenly with one slip of paper at the state office it got reversed.
Once corporations were given the right or the legal position of being a person, they then assumed constitutional rights. When they come into a town like this and they say, we want to pump water, and we say, no, we don't want you to pump water, they say, you can't tell us that because the United States Constitution, the Commerce Clause, says that only Congress can regulate trade. So you don't have any right to tell us that we can't do what is our trade.
And if you tell us we can't pump the water, we're going to sue you for lost future profits.
Right.
And then what homeowner who has a $200,000 home can fight multi-million-dollar lawsuit? You can't. You fold up your house of cards and run.
A population of 4,000 people in this town approximately, on an average usage of water, that the entire town of Nottingham would use a little over 300,000 gallons of water a day. USA Springs was given a permit to withdraw 307,528 gallons of water a day. That would double the amount of water coming out of that aquifer every day. 90% or more of the people that got up and spoke at those planning board meetings were against USA Springs mining their water. Very rarely did you get anybody that wasn't part of the USA Springs organization speaking for it. And yet they were getting their permits all the way down the line from the Water Council, from the Department of Transportation, from the Department of Environmental Services. They were getting their permits. We were not getting anywhere. That the regulatory system of giving them the regulations that give them the permits was not working in our favor. And yet here we were, we the people were sitting here in this town saying, no, we don't want this. And we were being totally ignored.
we have said here that everybody supported the fight against the water bottling plant, which is pretty much true. But the ordinance, you see, is so revolutionary and groundbreaking that if you ask most any lawyer, they'll say, oh, that's not legal under the Constitution. Because corporations have made inroads and snatched, you know, they're snatched pieces of law that have, and through court cases have gotten protection under the Constitution, which they were never meant to have, which they do not deserve, and which they wield against the citizens. Now, if you remember, slavery used to be legal in America, but it didn't make it right. Women weren't allowed to vote in America. That didn't make it right. You know, Indians and black people were counted as, you know, fractions of human beings in the census. I mean, there's a lot in our history that needed writing, and there still are things that need writing, and we have all come to realize that this reining in of corporate power is one of the things that needs to happen in order for citizens to be able to enjoy their rights and freedom in this country.
We finally got this ordinance together. We came to town meeting and the vote was on the ordinance. And we had a presentation. It's supposed to be 20 minutes, but I think we went an hour and a half. And we had Democrats and Republicans showing different parts of this ordinance and talking about them. So here it was. This was finally it. The ordinance passed 73 to 111. And then somebody got up and they passed 40-10, which means that it's, you can't change it.
Discuss
It's
it again.
a state statute.
RSA.
We got towards the end of this meeting. I was exhausted. Chris was exhausted. I'm sure everybody else was. The place was, it looked like it was almost empty to me. And somebody got up and evoked 40-10-2.
Which was
No,
something
we
we didn't
didn't
even
know.
know, which is us.
Which calls for a special meeting
To reconsider.
to reconsider the vote that was already taken that day.
One man, I don't know who he was, but I'd love to hug him if I ever see him again. He got up and he said, I voted against this ordinance this morning, but I think what is happening here is immoral, and I'm going to vote to put it down.
He voted with us the second
And
time.
we voted down that ordinance with the same percentage that we had in the morning.
Once we had passed this ordinance in Nottingham, before they're going to be able to draw water, they're going to have to go through the court system and the Supreme Court to challenge this ordinance.
One of the things in going through this whole process, I mean, one of probably the most amazing thing is the people that are behind it. Intelligent people coming from all different schools of thought, and just speaking from the heart. I mean, you had people who would speak just from the heart, and then people who would bring tons of knowledge from their background.
They had crossed party lines. So we
Oh,
also
yeah.
had Democrats and Republicans
Yeah, there
working
was
together
no...
on the same topic.
Such
Yeah.
a vital issue to
It is.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
when you
But
talk
I-
about water, you're
Yes.
all on one side.
It's not a
You know,
partisan
there's-
issue.
Yeah.
So I guess the way it changed me the most is that it connected me to my neighbors, my townsfolk, you know, people from other towns that I wouldn't have gotten to know. And
Efforts and monies should be spent at the local level. So if you're going to volunteer at the local level.
But I think it's important to get involved in the community, and I feel good about it.
I remember standing on a corner with him, we were talking about the ordinance and so forth, and he said, you know, this has given me a chance to speak to people that I would have avoided had it not been for the water issue. He said, but when you talk about water, there's no side. We all depend on it and we all need each other to protect it.
I saw poor people, rich people, as I said before, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody coming together. There was an inclusion.
As a result of this, I know a lot of people in town, and a lot of people in town know me.
We are at a time of crisis, change, transformation, and we're all a part of that. We've helped to bring it all together, and we're playing our parts.
Selectmen are like, instead of having a mayor
Mayor.
in charge of the town, you have three, in our town, it's
triumvirate.
three. Right,
It's a
three.
New England style of
Tradition.
town government.
A town meeting here consists of any registered voter in this town can come to town meeting and vote on every issue. The selectmen cannot spend money unless it is appropriated at town meeting. So it is we, the people of the town, the entire town, that can determine what money is spent, where it goes, and how much. And that, to me, is pure democracy. And that's the way it should be.